Hello everybody, welcome back to, I gotta adjust that camera next time. Hello everybody and welcome back to Forever Conscious Research channel. I hope you find yourself having a good day today. So I wanted to make sure I was able to sneak in a stream in the afternoon for you guys across the pond there and in various time zones, because I know a lot of my streams lately have been kind of in the later hours for you guys. So let's see, what was I going to say here? We've got part 2 today of the Stockholm Syndrome on steroids. Welcome to Earth, home to the biggest case of Stockholm Syndrome on steroids in the multiverse. We'll be getting into more on pre-birth planning, the soul groups, and how even though some of what they do say in here is true, and I point out the instances when they are telling truth, and then of course we have the total opposite side of it where they're just propagating the matrix system, either knowingly or unknowingly. I think most are unknowing, but we can get down the whole path of NPCs and put that up for debate too. But regardless, the outcome's the same. There's a lot of damage being done to innocent spirits, souls inside this system, and yeah, it just prevents that growth. It prevents that questioning of things, and it does a lot of harm. It prevents a person from escaping. It does. It's not good. So the whole point of this is to hopefully new people will come around and see it and say, hey, yeah, you know, I remember looking at maybe Michael Newton's books or David Weiss's books, or you know, Tom Campbell's My Big Toe, all this stuff that kind of further propagate that this is a whole school, it's a learning experience, blah blah blah. The point is it's extremely difficult to get to the point where you can see this stuff. But when you do, I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. The problem is all of the evidence has been twisted and spun and put into a certain narrative, which is, again, extremely destructive to a person finding liberation and sovereignty. So, again, that's the positive message, that out of all of this is that liberation and sovereignty come with it. So remember, that's the thing that gets me going. That's the thing that should get most of you going, is that there's a really, really good outcome at the end of all this. And the more we further our knowledge, the more we see it, the more we share with others, or perhaps create our own content, the better off, actually, I'm sorry, the better chance of more people getting out of the situation too. So what could be better than that? So remember, there's always that positive with every single video that I do. Liberation and sovereignty. So even though I might get a little heated once in a while, I know you guys get kind of heated once in a while, That's always the biggest part of the message. So, without further ado, I am just going to really quick just pop up. This won't take long. I just want to throw up this again. The mind control Stockholm syndrome, a psychological phenomena in which hostages express empathy and have positive feelings towards their captors, sometimes to the point of defending them. And that's exactly what's going on around Earth, and in this next segment that we're going to get into. So, yeah, that's another one. I love you. I love you. Oh, let me try and... There we go. Okay, so this is from Patty Hurst, I think it was, and we went over this one last time, but I'm just putting it out there again in case some people haven't seen part one. She says, I mean, they call it Stockholm Syndrome and post-traumatic stress disorder. And you know, I had no free will. I had virtually no free will until I was separated from them for about 2 weeks. And we kind of said the same thing last video, that if you are in this situation lifetime after lifetime, the soul attachment, the spirit within you, the veil of forgetfulness, and then you come here and experience all this, and then it carries over into the astral and is constantly cycling. You haven't had your 2 weeks. I haven't had my 2 weeks. No one on Earth has had their 2 weeks. But the whole point is that we can regain that stuff. So, just bear with me 1 second. I just got to shut off. Night Sky is helping me with some of the comments from you guys, so when we can go over them later. I'm sorry taking this on, but I don't want to have these sounds in the background. Actually, maybe that'll work. Okay, so let's hop into it. And sorry for the long introduction there, but a lot of it's important stuff. Okay, oop. What the heck happened here? There we go. All right, so this is the empathy part of the section. And just to give you a heads up, we've got about 40 minutes of video runtime, not including my commentary. So that should just give you an idea. You know, we're probably looking at an hour and a half, somewhere in that range, and then I'll get to the chat afterwards. And thank you again, Night Sky, for your kindness and helping me out today with questions and various comments. I also want to say thank you to all of you and, of course, the Last Timers Club members who have joined. Oops, I apologize. I didn't have the speaker on. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me. Good thing I caught it early. Boy, good start today, huh? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry.
We have all these things like unconditional love, but empathy. Why is empathy such a big focus for us?
I think there are a couple of reasons. One is that the soul by nature is expansive, meaning it wants to experience everything and it wants to understand everything. Well, when you have true empathy for another being, you understand why they feel the way they feel. It's a form of enhanced understanding, and that really is something that the soul is seeking through the evolutionary process. I think the other thing happening with empathy is that when you truly empathize with somebody else, you can be of tremendous service to them. Again, because you understand what's happening with them and why.
Now, see, that's great. That's, you know, I fully support that. I think empathy and compassion are a key component to being a real human being. and being kind in this world. The more empathy and compassion we show amongst each other, the better not only our lives will be, but those around us as well. So, but where it kind of goes is another story as it pertains to this.
Service to others, as I mentioned, is something that I've seen in literally every pre-birth plan I've ever looked at. And if you really want to be of powerful and effective service to others, if you can truly empathize with them, that greatly enhances your ability to be of service.
Okay, now what he's saying is in the pre-birth planning, there are, you may agree to things, or the person in your soul group may agree to things that are just downright, I'll say just downright dirty or downright incredible, okay, and loving. But the way this stuff is pawned off is that, you're doing this service for others. So, if you're going to come down and let's just say, break your brother's leg or something. But that's part of the lesson. That's part of the school. It's part of the soul group. And that's empathy. See how it's wacky, really wacky.
And I think that that's the big purpose for the life review.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you get the driver's seat to see what that person felt and all the ripple effects of the things that you caused. You get to experience what they felt. So the life review is very empathetic.
Okay, but the life review, see, it's talking about how it's empathetic. But what the life review is, make no doubt about it, the life review is about, yes, making you feel the wrongdoings that you did to other people through their eyes, through the victim's eyes, so to say, no matter how big or how small. And it's all part of the karmic trap, the karma and sinning and judgment trap that funnels you back into this system. Those things are key. So while he's saying, it's a good thing, life review, it's very empathetic, blah blah. Yeah, but the mechanism behind it is pure and utter deception. It is a system that can never be satisfied. This is not a thing that's set up where you actually can ascend. And, there was this grand learning experience. No, it's the complete opposite. It's made to keep you within that cycle of reincarnation and, sucked into your attachments, whether it's materialism, soul group, it doesn't matter what it is. The whole point is that the cycle continues until you figure it out. And that's why we're here. We're here together because it's sovereign and liberation. By not even allowing the life review to occur. If you make it to the life review, in my opinion, you're pretty much done. So the whole point is to avoid it completely.
That's exactly
I'm
right.
saying that right.
Yeah, you in the life review, as I understand it, you are shown the important scenes from your previous incarnation. But when you view these scenes, you see not just what happened, but you immerse yourself in the others who are there, and you feel what they felt when you did whatever it was you did. And that's all about empathy.
So maybe a soul that wants to learn about compassion, maybe incarnate into, let's say, a dysfunctional...
Could be a dysfunctional family or someone that has a disability, a physical or mental disability, and they would really depend and rely on having others that are compassionate around them. Or perhaps they might be a caretaker of someone that has a physical, mental, or emotional issue and see how others treat, the person that they're in the relationship with without compassion. So it really forces us in these difficult or dysfunctional relationships to have compassion be our forefront.
So it sounds like...
So, yeah, but what about, she's showing a side, which is interesting. She's showing us, but wait till you see what she says later. But in this particular part, she's showing a side, you're doing a good thing by, caring for your family member and stuff like that. Yes, that's true. But she's leaving out all of the other things that can, be done. It's not just about doing the right thing and being empathetic and compassionate to your loved one who may be sick, or someone within your soul group that you made an agreement with that, it's your turn to be like a caretaker, so to say, or however it may roll out. But you have things like, abuse, murder, all sorts of other things, jealousy and rage and all that stuff, and everything that can be a negative scenario within the life script and soul group script that was agreed upon and plays itself out.
Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. You appreciate what happened to you.
I so appreciate it. I so appreciate what happened to me. And I so appreciate that my body is still walking with it, walking this story, because it doesn't stop me. You know, people's stories, when it stops them from doing something in life, then we have a little bit of, we have to get back to center. We have to find that balance again, that inner strength, that inner knowing. But I carry my story very powerfully, I feel, with confidence.
You even changed your name.
That name was given to me, actually. I probably would not, my ego part probably would not have given me the name of Cute Hands. I can tell you that, probably, in truth, because my hands at that time were not so cute. They were really deformed looking. And so a little six-year-old at a powwow, Edgewater Park in Cleveland, Ohio, wanted me to put this little necklace on her. She came up to my tent because I was selling things there from my foundation I had started, and she wanted me to put this necklace on her. And I knew a name was coming to me. I could actually feel it in my spirit. Now, mind you, I'm still in a wheelchair, and I kept feeling, oh, maybe it'll be something like, Rebecca Running Bear. And I'm like, no, you're in a wheelchair, How's it going to be a running bear?
Soaring eagle.
Yeah,
you can't fly.
White, And it was so beautiful and so authentic. And that's how I knew, again, that whole feeling came over my body again, that rush, because it was truth. And she came up to my tent, asked me to put this necklace on her, and I couldn't work those little clasps. I don't think anybody can work those clasps for those necklaces.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't put this on you, sweetie. I said, my hands aren't well right now, And she says, and she was a little Russian girl. And she said, let me see your hands. And she takes my hands and she says, but you do all this beautiful work. And I said, yes, I do. And she goes, well, I don't think your hands are sick. And I would call you Rebecca Cute Hands.
Jesus. 1 minute, I skipped over something. I was trying to mute the sound. I apologize. I can't believe I did that. It's gonna be a minute, guys. I apologize. Oh, I cannot believe I did that. That's why I try to put the timer in there, but let's see. Oh my God. There we go. Wait, no. It wasn't him, it's Deja Vu.
So are we seeing in a deja vu, are we seeing a glimpse of our plans?
I think that can be what it is. The traditional understanding of deja vu is you go to a place that you've never been to before in your current lifetime, and somehow it feels very familiar. and then people will say, oh, I must have been there in a past life. And I think that can be the case, and often is the case. That's why it feels familiar. But it can also be what you're referring to. It could be that in your pre-birth planning session, you were shown a scene of something that was likely to happen or some place that you were very likely to go to. And so when it feels familiar to you, it's because you saw it in the pre-birth planning session.
Do you think that deja vu?
I see, like, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that being part of it, and I also think it's also possibly a life script that you have played out in the past, and it's familiar to you again, some semblance of it. So that's another take on deja vu. Also, something within your spirit's connection to that very moment, that scenery, that what you might hear. We can go on and on. So I think there's a few possibilities at play, and the pre-birth planning could absolutely be just one of those things. So, we gotta give credit where credit's due when factual information is being conveyed, and stomp on all the bullshit on the other end too.
Is it a little bit of a glimpse of the pre-birth planning?
I absolutely do. I think when we have those deja vu moments, when something feels very familiar, we're just, the veil is thinning perhaps a little bit, and we're just getting to see a glimpse of, oh, I knew about this. This was something that feels very familiar. I've agreed to this. So it absolutely can be on something on a micro level or macro level as well too.
I guess that it's pretty safe for me to ask you the question, you believe there are no victims?
I do believe that. There are two reasons I say that. One is that a lot of the experiences that we as a society look at as victimizing are planned before they're born. That doesn't mean that every bad thing that happens is planned. I don't believe that. But even when something quote unquote bad.
But the big stuff is, okay? The life-changing moments, the big injuries, the big blowouts you might have, traumatic events, all that stuff, that's Matrix script.
Society look at as victimizing are planned before they're born. That doesn't mean that every bad thing that happens is planned. I don't believe that. But even when something quote unquote bad happens that was not planned, the only way it can occur is if your vibration, your frequency, allows it to come into your experience. So certainly people are not consciously seeking out painful experiences, at least not most of the time, but their frequency, their vibration allows it to come into their experience, allows it to manifest. Now,
It's about the it's about the life script. It's about also not necessarily being in tune with yourself and losing yourself and basically being an automaton through life. So it makes the life script easier to play out. Oh, it's my vibration. The whole raise my vibration thing is just, to me, it's cringy. I mean, I know a lot of people say it and resonate with it. I just, I like to say, connecting with my spirit essence, true spirit essence. This raise this vibration thing is just way too played out, in my opinion. Not trying to shit on anyone who likes it, but that's just my feeling.
saying that is not the same thing as blaming people and saying you're at fault for your own suffering, you're at fault for the quote unquote bad things that happen in your life. There's no fault in the picture, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a description of how the physical universe operates.
There's no fault. No fault. I mean, look, the down and dirty part of all this is that, yes, we consented, but we were so deceived and taken for a ride through this whole process that we might as well have barely had a say in it, okay? Do they need our consent? Yes. but there's all these things in play. You know, the mind, the memory wipe. You know, the veil of forgetfulness. There is the soul groups. There is the masters, the guides, the council. And then the whole planning with the soul group and the master and the ascended masters or the guides or the teachers or the council. It's a perfect storm. It's a perfect storm where, you know, consent is given, but it is really, the scales are so tilted in the system's favor that it, you know, it's a big problem. It's not something to just, you know, oh, you know, no big deal, you know.
Everything is based on energy, frequency, vibration, law of attraction. And again, it can't come into your experience unless your frequency allows it to.
So I would think it's pretty safe to say that you believe there's no victims.
I do not believe in victimhood. Even what might appear to be a victim, let's say a victim of a crime, a victim of abuse, I believe that we choose that experience. I believe.
Just rewind that, guys.
Unless your frequency allows it to.
So I would think it's pretty safe to say that you believe there's no victims.
I do not believe in victimhood. Even what might appear to be a victim, let's say a victim of a crime, a victim of abuse, I believe that we choose that experience. I believe that we come in, and I absolutely do not believe that.
It's all to learn. It's a learning experience. Right? It's a school. So, you know, abuse, you know, murder, all that stuff, you know, it's a learning experience. You're here to learn. And, you know, it's part of your life script, and that's how this thing goes. Meanwhile, on the other hand, we have loads of people who have near-death experiences, and we have trip reports, and varying states of consciousness expansion that you can implement where you feel and leave your body and have this thing where you are supposedly all-knowing. I mean, I can't tell you how many near-death experiences I've run across where they say, oh, I knew the answer to everything, I had it all, blah, blah. So my question to those people are, if you were all-knowing and all this, then why deal it? Whoop, this microphone's on. I gotta get a new one. Why would you, if you're all knowing and everything else, then why would you subject yourself repeatedly to this? Why is the veil of forgetfulness, you know, just shrugged off like it's nothing? My question is again, what is there to learn if you're supposedly all knowing?
There is anything that's
Okay,
a victim.
So let's just say somebody gets killed by a gun or somebody like that. Do you think that it wasn't exactly in the plan?
I think it absolutely was the plan for that to happen. I think there was an agreement. And listen, I do not condone murder. I don't condone any of these things. But I will say this: I've made the agreement.
But I'll rationalize it and let my Stockholm syndrome just, you know, wash it away. I'm gonna wash away my Matrix Stockholm syndrome and praise the Lord.
Agreement to come in and give you the opportunity to do better, to not make that decision. Let's say you go ahead and complete it. That was in the pre-birth plan as well. That was an agreement, and I have an understanding of what your life would be like after that event, which you might suffer, and that's it. I mean, if we stop seeing ourselves as victims, we can allow forgiveness and compassion to come in. And forgiveness does not mean it's okay what you've done. I'm not saying the jail should be emptied. I'm not a bleeding heart in that manner. I think there needs to be punishment if there is a crime. But as far as me being a victim, I'm here in this place to give you the opportunity to choose differently. If you don't make that decision, that's okay as well too. I know what your life would be like after making that choice.
Okay, so there's amnesia.
Earth with this self-induced amnesia. What's the purpose of the amnesia? I mean, I know it sounds like a pretty obvious question.
I think
All right, here comes the excuse train for the Veil of Forgetfulness. Choo-choo! Pulling up to the station.
there are a couple of reasons for the amnesia. One is that it's sort of like the difference between an open book test and a closed book test in school. If you know that the test is going to be open book, you may not study as hard because you figure you'll look up the answers during the test, and so you don't learn as much. By having this self-induced amnesia, not remembering the pre-birth plan, it effectively turns life into a closed book test, so you just end up learning more. I think also a lot of the growth in the learning on the earth plane comes through the experience of intense emotions and how you work with them or don't work with them. And by remembering the pre-birth plan, if you had full memory of it and full memory of life on the other side, you would be acutely aware of the fact that life on earth is nothing more than a play on a stage.
And you might figure out that it's a scam too. That one just, flies right by. I mean, you might, God forbid you have full retention of your memory. God forbid you be able to connect with your true spirit essence and or at least have some semblance of a freaking idea as to what the hell you're supposed to do when you get here. Or at least have the conditions a little more reasonable. Like, the thing is, it's the whole collective. Like, to me, this is just pure insanity, what he's saying. You learn this, you come into this incarnation, you know it was all an illusion, and you might not be able to live with the memories that you had of the past misdeeds you did, blah, 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 blah. All it is excuses. When it's right in our face right here. It's right in our face. And it's just, again, it's out to lunch. I'm going to rewind that part because it's an important part.
Why would we enter this earth with this self-induced amnesia? What's the purpose of the amnesia? I mean, I know it sounds like a pretty obvious question.
I think there are a couple of reasons for the amnesia. One is that it's sort of like the difference between an open book test and a closed book test in school. If you know that the test is going to be open book, you may not study as hard because you figure you'll look up the answers during the test.
And if you know this place is a scam and a deception and a reincarnation soul trap, you might not want to come back.
And so you don't learn as much. By having this self-induced amnesia, not remembering the pre-birth plan, it effectively turns life into a closed book test. So you just end up. I think also a lot of the growth in the learning on the earth plane comes through the experience of intense emotions and how you work with them or don't work with them. And by remembering the pre-birth plan, if you had full memory of it and full memory of life on the other side, you would be acutely aware of the fact that life on earth is nothing more than a play on a stage. And if you had that awareness, that would de-intensify the emotions you felt, and so you wouldn't learn as much.
Yeah, I mean, again, you might have the knowledge that you're in a matrix reincarnation soul trap. And you might not want to come back, and you might just think it's all an illusion and a big game and blah, blah, blah. And that it's ridiculous, and it's a clown show. And it's, designed to break you and steal your true essence every step of the way. So but we're lucky. We're very lucky, my friends. We're here. We know what's up. And no more of this. It's not going to happen anymore.
It's a brave idea to get into this life with a big life suffering scenario.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but my first book, Your Soul's Plan, before it was picked up by a publisher and retitled Your Soul's Plan.
I just want to let you know, he's got a book, Your Soul's Plan. This is probably like the 6th book he's hawked in this, just till now. So I swear to God, there's like 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know how many he's put out there. Sorry. Just want to make sure that you know he's got a book, guys. That's all.
Yeah. It's a brave idea to get into this life with a big life suffering scenario.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but my first book, Your Soul's Plan, before it was picked up by a publisher and retitled Your Soul's Plan, it was called Courageous Souls. And the reason I chose that title is what you just said, because it takes tremendous courage to plan a life on Earth, come into body, and then execute that plan.
When they experience
Execute that plan without knowledge of what that plan is. Hello? Ding ding. Let's see. Night Sky asked, has he got a book out? Yeah, actually he does. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew, okay? So make sure he's got books. He's got books. Your Soul's Plan.
a traumatic experience or something like that, it's really very trivial, you said, and kind of quick.
There is an understanding before we come in when we're doing our pre-birth. Yes, let's say I'll go through a broken leg. Let's say I'll go through a car accident. Let's say I'll go through the loss of a child or a loss of a parent or the loss of a spouse. And my understanding, because I've done this several times before, I'll have these experiences, I'll learn, I'll feel the pain, I'll grow from this. This is the lessons that I'll take away. And then I come into the physical and I experience these I don't want to go difficulties, but these lessons that I'll learn from all of this. And I remember somewhere deep inside of me that, yes, I believe that my loved one is okay. I believe that my leg is going to heal. I know I'm going to survive this car accident. That's what our soul takes away from these experiences.
Where's the roadmap? Where's the script? Where's just even the smallest of hints? Anybody, again, I asked, did anybody else get the guidebook when they came here? Anybody get anything? Anybody get the notice from the bat cave? I didn't. I mean,
now, where that can go a little bit wonky, and here,
let me just rewind that part really quick.
I don't want to go difficulties, but these lessons that I'll learn from all of this. And I remember somewhere deep inside of me that, yes, I believe that my loved one is okay. I believe that my leg is going to heal. I know I'm going to survive this car accident. That's what our soul takes away from these experiences. Now, where that can go a little bit wonky, and here's where free will does come into play. I can take these same experiences and I can decide, all right, I'm not going to have that memory that my loved one is okay. I am going to deal with pain in my leg for the rest of my life. My life is going to be difficult, and we can spiral into victim mode. We aren't a victim, but we don't listen to our soul. We don't listen to our higher self that this was a learning experience. We choose to see life as being painful or us as being punished.
Mm-hmm. I think the guides have an expanded perspective, the aerial view, so to speak, compared to the viewpoint that we have while we're
Wait till you hear this.
here. You know, when you're immersed in suffering, especially if it goes on for any length of time, it can be extraordinarily painful, and it seems as though it's never going to end. So it's only natural people would focus on it and what they can do to alleviate the pain. But the guides understand that this is very temporary.
They understand. It's very temporary. You don't keep coming back here. It's just temporary. Just for, only until you've lived about, 500 million lifetimes, and then maybe you figure it out. I don't know.
Again, no one is permanently harmed by anything that happens here. And yet the growth, the wisdom, the learning become part of the soul for all eternity. So they have that expanded aerial viewpoint, and that allows them not to focus on it or not to see it as a cataclysmic thing.
Because they don't care. They don't care. They're in on it. They run the place. Or most of them are just, brainwashed themselves and stuck in it. But the point is they're part of the problem. Of course they don't care. They're not here. They're in the astral. They're not here. They're in the astral, directing the show, running the soul groups and trying to get you to a wacky soul script, life script with a soul group or,
Right.
The way it might to us.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this misconception of
Right.
karma.
Mm-hmm.
And it still seems like it's important, that the balancing of karma. So let's just say I'm a rude person,
Right.
and I might have had in another previous incarnation, I might have been treated very rudely. So I can understand
Correct.
the dynamics.
Both sides of the coin. You want to experience being the person that does the act and a person that receives the act. We seem to need to have both of those experiences. I believe from what I've been shown and taught from my guides is that we want to experience a duality of everything.
You know what? How about we take that whole part out of it? How about we make it so this place doesn't have that? Oh no, that's not an option, right? No. It's gotta have the duality. Gotta have it. Gotta have the pain, gotta have the suffering, gotta have the manipulation and the reincarnation trap and everything that goes along with it.
We want to have all of the knowledge that those ascended masters have. We want to have all of this experience. Someone like Jesus or Buddha, they came in with complete compassion and understanding that we're all perfect. There really is nothing that we can do wrong. They had, I believe, all of these experiences and could see each and every one of us through the lens of love and compassion. The karma is, the negative connotation with karma is there's judgment. We don't have judgment. There is no judgment on the other side. It doesn't exist. We do, however, view how we've made everyone around us feel. And if I've offended or hurt you or been rude to you, I would certainly want to go back and fix that.
How is that not judgment? How is that not guilt tripping and in karmic repercussions? They sent, and not only will you go through that experience in the life review and live through the other eyes, you receive the experience of being the victim that you may have perpetrated on that person. So you live through that experience. And then what happens is depending on what it is, and depending on, in my opinion, if they just want to mess with you, say, again, I've seen one where they were judging a 6-year-old, an experience that a 6-year-old had, and then they implemented it into the next life script. Okay, so I don't even remember what it was off the top of my head, but literally it was a 6-year-old did something silly, okay, but 6 years old. And then they took it and started with the soul group and doing the next life script, and he was guilt tripped and dealt with some bullshit in the next lifetime as a result of that one little thing. And that applies to almost anything. So let's not blur the lines here and act like judgment and karma are not as a result of what you do and how they manipulate you to craft it up as this little psychobabble learning experience, because that's what it is.
If, when you see your rudeness in the life review, you feel incomplete with the experience, then that feeling of incompletion is the karma.
Okay.
But if you feel complete, if you feel no need to do that, then as I understand it, there is no
Right.
karma there.
I would say that you firmly believe that karma is not a form of punishment.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's been...
It definitely is. It definitely is. It's part of the whole system. It's one of the biggest components next to the veil of forgetfulness. I mean, it's huge.
portrayed as karma as, oh, you're going to get punished for that. And I think that's part of our religious paradigms that we've believed in.
But
it
it's
does
true.
Look like a
But it's true. Like I just said, it's true because it can carry over into your next incarnation. If there's no repercussions, then why does that happen? Hello? Ding, ding, ding.
Punished for that. And I think that's part of our religious paradigms that we've believed in.
But it's happening. Doesn't matter whether they're religious or not. I mean, there's all sorts of different belief systems that involve karma and belief and judgment, and they're happening.
It does look like a punishment from the purely human perspective. It's natural that people would feel that way, and I don't think that
I love it. He's like, yeah, from the objective experience. Listen to this.
it does.
Punished for that. And I think that's part of our religious paradigms that we've believed in.
It does look like a
It's the next
punishment
one.
from the purely human perspective. It's
Yeah, objective. Yeah, don't be objective. Don't think rationally about the whole situation. You know, of course he's talking about religion specifically, but the point is religion's pervasive in society, and it's happening. This type of karma and judgment is happening.
natural that people would feel that way, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with feeling that way. But a more enlightened or expanded perspective would be that you felt incomplete with a past experience, and you wanted something to balance it so that you would be complete with the experience.
What would be the learning process of being someone that's kind of naive and someone that's uber intelligent?
Well, I can certainly speak for the first one. For myself, I think that I, being very naive or not having an educational background that is extensive, for myself, that gives me a lot of time and energy to focus on emotions and feelings and really having that empathy and connection with others. For those that are really smart, perhaps they are more left-brained and they think very academically, and they can bring in huge changes and make great advances, and that would be the reason that they would choose those specific traits.
Could be any number of purposes. A lot of the purpose for something like that and the other things that we're talking about has to do with cultivating qualities that I call divine virtues, qualities that are important to the soul. As you
He calls them divine virtues. I wonder if that term is in his books. Just so you guys know, he's got some books.
grow in those qualities, your growth is your service to the world. Service can be overt in the sense that you take a volunteer position somewhere, but for most people, your form of service is raising your vibration, which means growing in certain qualities or divine virtues. So, which virtues could somebody grow in as a result of having low or high intelligence? Empathy. Low intelligence could be an incredible opportunity to cultivate patience.
Yeah, low intelligence, so you can't figure out anything or have all these blockades in your life, and who knows how that rolls out in the entirety of your life. Boy, can't see how that might be a problem.
Either one could be a great opportunity to cultivate self-love. There are just a few, and there's probably many more.
What about if someone was extremely poor or someone that's extremely wealthy? I'm trying to figure out what do you think the learning would be from those?
Certainly someone who might struggle financially or have these difficulties or feel as if they had those difficulties, they
Feel as if they have those difficulties? Feel. Let's just take a little rewind on that, my friends.
I'm trying to figure out what do you think the learning would be from those?
certainly someone who might struggle financially or have these difficulties or feel as if they had those difficulties.
Or feel as if they have those difficulties. So if you can't pay the rent, can't pay your bills, you're kicked out of your place, can't pay the mortgage, your rent, car's repossessed. Maybe it's just perception. Maybe they're overreacting. I don't know.
They might need to learn to rely on family more or themselves, or that relationships might be something that they need to focus on more than money, whereas someone
Or maybe they don't have those relationships.
who had a tremendous amount of wealth in their life, they might be dealing with greed, or they might be dealing with a sense of lacking, and they
Or charity.
charity, and they
Or maybe they are in a family that has had the short end of the stick most of their life and unable to care for, unable to go to them for help. Okay, that's possible too. There's a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of countries in the world where, it's being poor is just, it's been generation after generation after generation. So how are you going to try and get some help from someone in your family or maybe even friends when every one of your friends and family are unfortunately poor and in a rough situation? Hello?
They might
Sure.
not have as many relationships, so that might be an area where they struggle a little bit with. There are
or even valid relationships.
valid relationships, and certainly wondering, are
Right.
you with me because of me, or are with me because of what I can give to you? There is a big dichotomy in both of these, but they each bring very large gifts to our life.
Well, in my second book, Your Soul's Gift, there is an entire chapter about someone who plans to experience poverty. And he plans to be born into a family in Nicaragua, which will not have any financial resources. His primary motivation, was actually quite simple. The members of his soul group who he wanted to reincarnate with had already planned this lifetime in Nicaragua for purposes of their own. The plan was already in place. So if he wanted to be with them, which he did, then he had to go along with this and accept the impoverishment that was going to be a part of it.
He had to go along with it. He had to.
It was really nothing much more complicated than that. But having said that, you could learn a lot. Again, you could cultivate many of the virtues as a result of poverty or extreme wealth. Again, empathy, compassion for those who are less fortunate,
Oh, yeah,
compassion for those who are more fortunate.
Just had to pause the music for a minute.
Physical disabilities.
Physical disabilities often are about the people who are helping the person who's disabled. So the disabled person is there in a role of service, giving others the opportunity.
I'm sorry, I gotta pause it. I love what Night Sky just said. If someone is starving, they might feel like they are starving. But in the bigger picture, they chose to starve for the greater good of their soul's learning and development. Yes. 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 I love it. That's great example.
So the disabled person is there in a role of service, giving others the opportunity to be patient, empathetic, compassionate, unconditionally loving, and so forth.
Right, the caregiver,
Yeah.
patient. So addictions like drugs, alcohol, I think I had heard you say that's one of the more braver ones.
I think it is, because it often involves tremendous suffering. The story in my first book, Your Soul's Plan, about drug addiction is
Just so you guys know, he's got a book called Your Soul's Plan. Okay, just in case you forgot.
the story in my first book, Your Soul's Plan, about the story in my first book, Your Soul's Plan. The story in my first book, Your Soul's Plan, about drug addiction
Sorry.
is about a soul
Couldn't help
who
myself.
plans prior to birth to have a heroin addiction, mainly because he had a number of past lives in which he was able to create what you could call magical experiences for himself. And the experience of having the heroin addiction recreated a magical feeling or a magical quality for him. He wanted to have that experience, but he knew it was going to be tremendously difficult, that he would need a lot of support. And so the first person he goes to in the pre-birth planning session is the soul who eventually became his mother. And he says to her basically, would you be the soul who shepherds me and loves me unconditionally through this very difficult experience? But what we find out is that his future mother was actually done with incarnating on Earth. She had finished everything she came here to do, was ready to go on to something
She
else.
took one for the team.
But yeah, she was ready to move on. Mark my words, she wasn't going anywhere. That was a trick. That's a trick. She was tricked, and I think the son, whatever the situation is, and she wasn't going anywhere. Like, they probably lured her in. Maybe she had a little knowing going on inside of her. I mean, that's maybe even going too far, because she probably didn't. But Either way, they were both misled as if, she's taking one for the team. Stupid Mike.
You could put it that way. She loved him so much. They'd been together many times before. She said, yes, I'll come back, even though I don't have to, and I will be your mother, and I'll shepherd you through this.
Pre-birth planned exit points. Do you think that if we pass that exit point, another...
One would be immediate. It would be absolutely immediate. I've spoken to many people in spirit that time when they transition fully is absolutely the time that they were supposed to go. The manner, the time. I speak with a lot of people that have died of addiction or transitioned from addiction, and they talk about, I could come back into my body last time this happened. And they've had several overdoses and were able to get back in, and they said, this time I couldn't. This time it was my exit. So I do think there are a few exits that are written in, but when it does occur, it's absolutely because it was
Well, do you think it's
to.
possible that we could skip the exit point and then actually a couple weeks later some other situation?
Yes. But
So-
that just means that the exit point that was presented to us was one that we did not choose. I have been shown from my guides, there's usually 4.
I have been shown from my guides. Okay? You hear this a lot, especially amongst, these guru wannabe types, new age spiritual one. I consulted my guide or my guides or this or that. And, they happen to, have a position on a thing like this, like a documentary that's seen by who knows how many people. And then you have, things like Gaia TV and all these other things that come out with this, Earth is a learning experience narrative. And, I was consulting with my guides. She's consulting with guides. All these people are consulting with guides, and they come down here or they come here and push a narrative. And I'm sorry, but near-death experiencers, they go and they have a very life-changing experience that can be helpful a lot. But they also come back and they share their story, and they're parroting the system narratives because of that experience with something like a guide or like a Jesus or whatever, guru, master, teacher, blah, 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 blah.
4 to 5 exit points that one might have in their life. The exit point that was presented to us was one that we did not choose. I have been shown from my guides, there's usually 4 to 5 exit points that one might have in their life. If things do get too overwhelming, if I am too sick and don't feel like I can make it, if I am grieving and it's too painful, or perhaps my soul remembers that this was an opportunity to happen. Perhaps I was a crime. There was a crime committed, a car accident, something. I've made those agreements that there are a few exit points throughout my life that I could possibly take.
Okay, so a criminal.
I think a criminal is a great opportunity for a learning through opposites or a high contrast life plan. You would have the opportunity from going from service to self, potentially to service to others.
Are you hearing this? Insanity. Take this opportunity from service to self to service to others. So yeah, if you're a criminal and you want to go out, bust a few kneecaps, it's service to others. Stockholm syndrome on steroids, all up in this place. It's insane. This is the type of stuff that just gets me flying off the handle sometimes. It's just like, what are you saying? Are you hearing yourself? Let's hear him again. Our good friend here, who's got a lot of books for sale.
Is a great opportunity for a learning through opposites or a high contrast life plan. You would have the opportunity from going from service to self, potentially to service to others, depending upon your free will choices. So as the criminal, you start off in a mode where it's completely service to self, completely self-interest, and then through whatever pain and suffering that experience engenders for the criminal. Hopefully it opens them up, breaks their heart open, so to speak, and then they see, oh yes, there's much more to life than just what I want.
And we're going to crack open the victim's heart too. And the victim's family's heart sometimes, or whatever however extreme the scenario may be, no matter how small or how big.
Just what I need. How can I use this experience to be of service to others?
They might plan to be a criminal because someone was a criminal to them, or they might want to experience the judicial.
So we're talking about the karma stuff. I thought that, there's no judgment, no payback. Although they did talk about it, but the point is it's funny how you see the contradiction. Maybe it's from a previous lifetime, and they gotta feel that experience from the other end of the next incarnation. Which one is it? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Want just what I need. How can I use this experience to be of service to others?
They might plan to be a criminal because someone was a criminal to them, or they might want to experience the judicial system, or they might find that, here's my criminal act. There are people in prison or the jail system that my soul can help, that I could not have had this experience any other way. If I've done something wrong in one physical incarnation, chances are very good that I'm going to want to come back and have that balance of that experience.
Yeah, I'm going to want to come back and have that balance. Yeah, I'm going to want to come and, be a victim. Yeah, it's going to be great. They're going to be railroaded into it, okay? That's what happens. Absolutely railroaded into it. That's not obviously discounting whatever the hell they theoretically may have done. But come on.
Why would we purposely plan trauma for ourselves?
Oh, that's a great question. I think most of us plan trauma for ourselves to have that experience and know what it feels like, so we can have that compassion and understanding, not only for ourselves, but for the perpetrator. That's the ultimate goal, is to have an understanding. I've had many clients that have had trauma in their life, and I work with them until we get to a point where we can...
And they loved every minute of it.
...have compassion for that offender. It doesn't mean that we excuse the act ever, but we see the pain and the trauma in their life, and we really get to a point where we're going to end that. That's the goal. I'll experience this, but I won't have it carry on to any other future generations. I won't.
Why not? It's part of the gig. No, keep that trauma train going, baby. Matrix loves it. Insanity. Pure insanity.
Continue that victimhood.
You'll remember a number of years ago there was a huge tsunami that hit Southeast Asia.
Right.
There were
Oh God, here we go. Listen to this one.
about 100,000 people who died in that.
Wait till you hear. Okay, I'm telling you, brace for fucking impact, baby. Brace. Remember to put on your face mask before you put on others, because you know the whole spiel on the plane. Here we go.
That victimhood.
You'll remember a number of years ago there was a huge tsunami that hit Southeast Asia.
Right.
There were about 100,000 people who died in that. So I've asked about that. And what I was told in the channeling sessions was that those 100,000 or so souls wanted, before they were born, for the Earth to be at a particular vibration by a certain point in linear time. And they all agreed that if it looks like the Earth is not going to get there by that point in linear time, then we agree to give our lives in this large-scale natural disaster, because we know the result of that will be a worldwide outpouring of love and compassion that will elevate the frequency of the whole planet. Well, that's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah, it's really paying off, guys. Yeah, yeah, we're really moving forward in a great progress.
You had all the governments of the world temporarily put aside their differences to funnel aid into Southeast Asia.
Yeah, okay, aid that goes nowhere. Okay, come on now. These are all ridiculous corporations and governments that hijack that money. That money doesn't go to anybody. Nobody. I've done a lot of research on that a while back. All that money barely touches the people it's supposed to, who need it the most in those disasters. They rob it.
planet. Well, that's exactly what happened. You had all the
Psycho.
governments of the world temporarily put aside their differences to funnel aid into Southeast Asia. That outpouring of love and compassion raised the vibration of the whole planet. So they accomplished exactly what they wanted to do.
They accomplished exactly what they wanted to do. They raised the vibration of the planet. Can you believe this, guys? Can you believe this? Unbelievable.
Do you think that we would purposely plan a life with cancer?
I do think that some people would choose to have a life with cancer. I do think that there are many reasons why we get cancer. Not dealing with our emotions while we're here, suffering with grief, not wanting to be here, finding fear. Fear seems to be really a large attachment to cancer.
I don't want to be here. I don't have cancer. I do have Lyme disease, but that doesn't matter. I still want to be here. I want to exit.
We get cancer. Not dealing with our emotions while we're here, suffering with grief, not wanting to be here, finding fear. Fear seems to be really a large attachment to cancer, not being happy with our life. But if we have it, it's because it's been a plan for us to come in.
And we got to raise the vibration of the planet, guys. Got to raise the vibration of the planet.
If I would have had cancer 50 years ago, even 40 years ago, my life expectancy and what you could do for me would be very, very different. Now, perhaps the reason why I've chosen to have cancer was to allow medicine to advance, to allow my family to come closer, to have an experience of bonding with me, perhaps to have a healthcare work.
Help with research to find a cure. What about the Matrix stepping in and fixing that damn shit? I mean, come on, they run this whole show. Oh yeah, no. Hi, Ascended Master, sir, or Miss, and Soul Group family. I would like to sign up for cancer because I know they need help with a cure down there. So I want to. That's my life script. Okay, let's go. Off to Earth.
Worker, learn something off me. It's really everything is altruistic and to help others.
So, the average pre-birth plan is one in which you bring into body a certain level of consciousness. And for a number of years, you make incremental gains in consciousness. So if we're drawing a graph of your level of consciousness, it's going up at a small slope. And then very often, the plan calls for a spike in the level of consciousness. The point at which the level of consciousness spikes is a pre-planned inflection point. It's most likely a life challenge the person planned before they were born in the hope that their level of consciousness would spike like that. It could be almost anything. But given humanity's current state of evolution, certain experiences are chosen much more frequently than others as inflection points. One of the most commonly chosen is the death of a loved one. If it's not the death of a loved one, very often it's an illness, and if it's an illness, very often it's cancer. And then if it's not an illness, very often it's an accident, which I put in quotes because it isn't really an accident. Those three things are chosen much more often than others as the pre-planned inflection points.
What about this this current, United States obsession with materialism?
Right.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around a purpose behind such an obsession with materialism.
Because the Matrix sets it up, pushes out brainwashing and propaganda from cradle to grave, and there you go. You have a whole society that is entrenched in materialism. I don't know. Maybe does that make a little too much sense, guys? Or should we hear what the experts have to say? Let's check in and see what they have to say about this here. I think we're about to become enlightened.
Planned inflection points.
What about this this current, United States obsession with materialism?
Right.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around a purpose behind such an obsession with materialism.
There does seem to be a lot of greed that is now coming back into fashion. I think it's just a feeling of not being worthy of the self, not understanding that you are good enough as you are. And really, that stems from fear as well, too. Lack and fear are the same thing. Exactly how many pairs of shoes do we need? Don't ask me really that question, because when we have a tremendous amount, it does become gluttony.
Don't ask me about that question. Even though I'm a little new age guru-y, I still love my shoes.
And at that point, we might need to experience that, but we also might need to experience having that, coming to the realization that we don't need this much, and then giving it away. That seems to be a reason why someone might deal with greed as well, too.
Just want to say, she doesn't hit me off as the type of person who's probably going to be giving much away. And especially the other guy. He's got books, just so you guys know.
Sometimes I wonder if materialism, acquiring as many personal items, stems back to 50 years ago when
There was none, like the Depression. I think that is in such our cellular DNA. It's stories passed down from maybe a grandparent, a great grandparent, coming
lack
in,
of food,
lack,
of
and
a
it's
car.
that fear.
You got to walk to your job.
It's really needing to be so prepared. I think because we take on so much. Souls are taking on more now than ever before in a time of creation. Ever before.
I love how he's like, really? Really? Interesting.
So really the greed is not that right. We just feel that we need to buffet ourselves with these physical items because other things in our life can be so very difficult. And if I have a comfortable, beautiful home, maybe I don't need a quarter of that, but I have that. If I have many cars or many items, it seems to protect me a little bit. It seems to just kind of balance
a little more
out.
comforting.
It is comforting when we've taken out so much or taken on so much in this lifetime. And again, look back into all of creation. When have we ever seen such a mass of people that are dealing with so many issues?
I think the focus on materialism.
Boy, I wonder why that's happening. Would it happen to be the parasites who, hand this down and start this system and provide it and push all this suffering, the foods, the drugs, all that stuff.
Comes from the amnesia.
Ugh.
So material things are only going to be disproportionately important if you're in a state of amnesia, if you don't remember your true nature as an eternal being, an infinite being, a being of unconditional love. If all of your self-identity is determined by your body, your thoughts, your feelings, and the things you have, then the things you have become tremendously important. So I think it's a natural result of the amnesia that most people bring into body with them.
What paths would we all choose? I think about that often, like, would you choose the easiest path? Would you choose the path that was already laid out before you? Would you choose the path that you see no obstructions in your way?
Sure.
Or would you make it an adventure to where you would have to learn and grow and evolve, to where, like, well, this one isn't as worn. We don't know what lies there. And I want to say fortunately and unfortunately sometimes, my spirit would choose the path that not everybody walked down and call me silly, call me stupid. But it felt like I would receive more teaching by going down the path that wasn't already traveled on.
Yeah.
Okay, my friends, I just got to take a quick 5-minute break, so hang in there if you'd like. Probably a little less than 5 minutes, actually, this time. So just chill for a minute, grab yourself some water, take a stretch break. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we are back. All right, let's pop right back into it. So we got about, I think, another 10 minutes on the video, runtime wise, without the commentary, and then I'll pop in. Oh, sorry, I got that planned back. So we'll finish out 10 minutes, and then we will. I'll check in with you guys in the chat there.
That's been violated.
Well, there are.
Just 1 minute, I had to rewind it here.
Okay, so a person that's been violated.
Well, there are actually 2 chapters in Your Soul's Gift on this subject. One is about incest.
Oh, there's 2 chapters on Your Soul's Gift. Wow, that's good. That's good. Just want to make sure you guys know.
The other is about rape. In Your Soul's Gift on this subject. One is about incest. The other is about rape.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of things that a soul could learn. The main thing there being forgiveness, of course. It's a phenomenal opportunity to cultivate forgiveness. And every time a person forgives, no matter how big or small it might be, that elevates the frequency of that person's soul. So it's an experience that many, many people plan to have or have the opportunity for when they.
I think, as far as forgiveness goes to others, that should be something that you yourself go within and say, does that person deserve it? This whole forgiveness, I mean, you know, you go through incest and this and that and all these things. That's some really vile stuff, okay? That's about the lowest of the low, okay? If you want to forgive someone, that's fine. In fact, I know someone who actually was in this situation and did that, and beautiful person. I love her dearly. But that was really big of her to do that. And I think it should be based on you and you alone if you want to do that. You don't have to do that. There's no requirement, but you should try to, as best you can, continue to live and put that as far in the rearview mirror as possible. I know that's a lot easier said than done. But as far as soul growth and you know, brownie points and all that stuff, you know, for your life script, no, it's all bullshit. All bullshit. And designed to, you know, accept that that's okay. When it was probably almost guaranteed in your life script to happen that way. I'm sorry, it's sick to say that, but that is the truth as far as I can tell. And I stand by that pretty strongly. Doesn't mean I agree with it. I find it disgusting, the whole thing. That something like this can even exist and continue to function and be propped up by assholes like this guy. Sick.
That elevates the frequency of that person's soul. So it's an experience that many, many people plan to have or have the opportunity for when they come into body. An interesting.
Did any of you guys get the soul elevation manual and the citation that you get, you know, extra points if you go through incest or rape? Come on.
Before when they come into body. An interesting side note, in this story about rape in Your Soul's Gift, the woman who experiences the rape, her name is Beverly, she's abducted by the rapist from a parking lot. And he takes her back to his home. That's where the rape takes place. And then they're in bed together. He falls asleep. And while he's sleeping, she starts to tiptoe out of the bed and make her escape. Well, as she's getting to the door and just about to be free, she turns back around, walks back to him, gives him a kiss on the cheek while he's sleeping, and then she leaves. And we talked about this at length in the research for that chapter. And the while he's sleeping, and then she leaves. And we talked about this at length in the research for that chapter. And the conclusion we came to is that the rapist is a soul that she's had many past lives with. They're probably in the same soul group. And there's actually a lot of love between them from the past lives in which they've been together. So this was a role that she scripted that he was playing in service to her, as hard as that may be to wrap one's mind around.
So in a metaphor, she was thanking him.
He was thanking him.
Did you?
So yeah, it's all normalized. It's all normalized. It's just, hello. This is Earth. This is Earth. This is the type of shit that, yes, the life scripts do involve this. It's sick. It's like, I hate even talking about it and go, when you go that deep, but it has to be said. Again, the ugly truth is still the truth. And it doesn't care about our feelings. Of course, we have feelings. We're normal. We have compassion and empathy, but the point is, we're not going to normalize this shit, okay? Not normalizing this stuff. It's insane. It's got a bunch of crackpots.
He scripted that he was playing in service to her, as hard as that may be to wrap one's mind around.
So in a metaphor, she was thanking him.
He was thanking him.
Did you straight out ask her why did she turn around and give the kiss, or was this?
No, I did ask her, and I don't recall exactly how she phrased the answer, but my sense was that initially when we started talking about it, she was sort of fuzzy as to why she had done this. And then as we processed it together, it made sense to her that this was probably a member of her soul group, and there was already a lot of love between them from past lives.
I have had clients before that have lost children to violence. And when the child came through, they informed me very, very clearly that they had agreed to this act, that they had come in to have that experience so that that person could choose to do better or would have chosen. And they would no judgment that the person didn't do better and that they had agreed to that. And it was really an understanding. They'll get it next time. They were actually cheering on. I don't know if you want to pose it, but like that's true. They were really cheering on and had nothing but compassion for their violator.
I mean, what do you say? I mean, how many examples do I need to give? And anyone that's new here or still on the fence about the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap, you want confirmation that this is happening? Start with my commentary on Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, and then do the next book, Destiny of Souls. Now, they're really long, and I tried to plow through it as fast as possible. But if you want examples of just how this life script thing plays out, like more detail and examples, I highly recommend going and checking those out, because you'll get a good grasp as to the accuracy that, yes, these life scripts are real and that they are occurring, and we consent to them through major deception and manipulation, again involving the memory wipe, the veil of forgetfulness, which is through the white light at the time of death, and then also through our soul groups that we're involved with when we pass through the white light and go back into the whole recycling center. Also with our master's guide, or so-called master's guides and counsel, and then the life script process. And then it's a combination of all those things being used and manipulated on us, deception aimed at us, and we're involved. And then eventually we consent to this insane life script, no matter how small or how big it is. So I know it's a difficult one to stomach, but it's happening.
If we come in and have that experience, I believe so truly that we've done that completely for the other person's benefit, for their growth, for their
So it
soul
sounds
growth.
like we know this perpetrator.
We absolutely do know. Even if we don't
Maybe not in
consciously
this
know
life.
them,
Yeah.
we've made the agreement pre-birth to have that experience. The opportunity for that experience exists. Our hope is that it doesn't come to fruition, but if it does, we've agreed to that.
That's going to be difficult for people to wrap their head around.
I think so.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
it is true.
Trust.
Advice on someone that's going through a particular amount of suffering right now.
My advice would be to ask yourself the following question. Ask yourself, if I planned this experience before I was born, why might I have done that? Because when you ask that question and when you phrase it in that particular way, it doesn't require you to actually believe in pre-birth planning, and yet it takes you right away into an exploration of deeper meaning and deeper purpose. And once you understand the deeper meaning or deeper purpose, even if you don't believe you planned it before you were born, that in and of itself alleviates a lot of the suffering. A lot of suffering comes from not just an unpleasant experience, but the fact that people don't see any deeper meaning or purpose to
Right.
the experience. Once you get to the deeper meaning and purpose, a lot of the suffering is alleviated, and then you can learn those lessons in a much more conscious manner.
No, no, no. That is not always the case. Some people may look. I've said on the channel before that I think, and there's actually some evidence to suggest this is true. I'm sorry. Just
Well,
hold on one sec here. All right, the dog's going nuts. I apologize. Okay, so lost my train of thought here. Just give me a minute here. Let me rewind this.
That in and of itself alleviates a lot of the suffering. A lot of suffering comes from not just an unpleasant experience, but the fact that people don't see any deeper meaning or purpose to
Right.
the experience. Once you get to the deeper meaning and purpose, a lot of the suffering is alleviated.
Okay. No, and I look. That's what I was getting at. It may help some. Okay? May. But the bulk of people still get lost. I mean, people commit suicide over this stuff. People self-harm. People may, abuse drugs on a high level or something like that. All sorts of things can happen as a result of this.
And then you can learn those lessons in a much more conscious manner.
Well, I think if someone in particular is going through a lot of suffering, I think we're coming back to trust again. If you can trust your soul, it knows what it's doing. There's got to be a reason for it.
And it's more than just trust of the soul, it's trust of the universe, which would include your guides, angels,
All the parties
masters,
involved, yeah.
divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Trust that the universe is a loving place. Trust that you are loved by the universe. Trust that you are adored by the universe. Trust that there is purpose in everything that's happening.
Your soul has chosen.
No, don't trust. Don't listen to this crackhead. He's out of his fucking mind. Okay? Period. I'm just going to say it. Screw him. You go within and you be a sovereign being. You have the true spirit essence from the jump when you came into existence, like all of us have. And what's going on here is not normal. Okay? You don't trust these things. You don't blindly trust unconditional love and all this stuff. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Okay? This guy's nuts.
Well, I think if someone in particular is going through a lot of suffering, I think we're coming back to trust again. If you can trust your soul, it knows what it's doing. There's got to be a reason for it.
And it's more than just trust of the soul, it's trust of the universe, which would include your guides, angels,
All the parties
masters,
involved, yeah.
divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Trust that the universe is a loving place. Trust that you are loved by the universe. Trust that you are adored by the universe. Trust that there is purpose in everything that's happening.
Your soul
Trust, 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 trust. Don't go within and rely on your gut instinct that, this seems wacky or is possibly part of a bigger problem that pertains to the whole matrix in general. No, don't go within and trust yourself. Trust exterior to yourself. The universe is going to provide to you. The universe loves you. Unconditional. Just trust. Get to your knees and submit. That's the translation. You got it? This is what we're dealing with. And it goes to, again, to the much bigger picture about the Stockholm Syndrome on steroids, everything that's going on here and in the astral realm that is attached to here, the control mechanisms, and guys like this, women like her, documentaries like this, is just one example of a much, much bigger problem. And it bothers me, okay? It eats me away to see people who may be spiritually vulnerable at the time take these three nutcases seriously. Okay? It's insane. Where's the compassion and empathy for logic and someone's right to be a sovereign being? Why don't we start at the real base level? Logic. Life experience. The reality of what this place is. The reality of what's actually going on. The reality that history paints a story of suffering. Okay? And hierarchy, and control, and attack of your sovereign being, a veil of forgetfulness, losing access to your true spirit essence. Should we keep going? Or no, that's part of the universe's plan. That's the Matrix loves you. Come on.
has chosen to go through this. It will absolutely end. There are lessons that you can learn from this. This was for your soul's growth. This was for the help and growth of those souls around you that you love, perhaps those that you don't even know yet. You will come out of it, you will learn, and you absolutely will be stronger because of this. There is nothing that's too overwhelming that we can't make it through.
And I actually admire them because they're so brave.
It does take a lot of bravery to continue to be here, to continue to get up every morning when we don't feel like it, when we are grieving, hurting, or in pain. It's very difficult to go and just keep going. I ask that you continue to do that.
Okay, that's another thing too. It's this is a big new age thing. Like you're part of the what's the Dolores Cannon, the what does she say? You're part of like the helpers or the first you have like the 144,000. That's a big one. And then, you came here to help the collect. Well, I don't know what Doris Cannon says. I'm sure one of you out there might be able to throw it up there. But the whole thing is she puts it out there like, you're brave. You're and other New Agers do this too. Yeah, the 3 waves of volunteers. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was from 51 Project. Thank you. I mean, all this stuff. And other New Agers, I think David Wilcox does this. All these crazies. They try to make you feel special. See, by putting out stuff like this, where, it's like, okay, explain away the negativity, explain away this, explain away this, explain this. But, you're brave, you're strong. You've got a mission. You're here for a reason. You're incredibly brave. Yeah, we are brave. But the whole point is the reason why it's framed like this is to suck us into the illusion and just throw away logic and life experience.
It does get better.
The value of the pre-birth plan became important to me when I began to consider my life review.
My understanding of what is happening in the life review is that you are doing it with your guides right there. And they're providing you with unconditional love and support, which you will need when you see some of the decisions that you now wish you had not made, particularly those in which you hurt other beings. And the viewing of the life review, as I understand it, is not generally in a chronological order from childhood up until senior adult. It's done in terms of theme and vibration. In other words, let's say that you were working on compassion. So you would be shown a number of scenes in which you were highly compassionate on down to totally lacking in compassion. That would be the lowest vibrational scene. And you're shown them in order of vibration. So you might start with the lowest vibration where there was no compassion and work your way up, or do it the other way. But you're seeing these scenes that are along the theme of compassion to show you how you grew or did not grow in compassion when you were there. And then you can make a decision. In my next incarnation, I would like to continue working on compassion because I didn't cultivate it as much as I'd hoped, or I did a great job in that lifetime. I really came to a place of tremendous compassion. I feel complete with that lesson. I want to go on to something else now.
We will experience not only our own life review, but we will.
Okay, let's just before we, I kind of already rehashed this stuff, about the life review and its purpose with the judgment and blah blah blah. And we've talked about how you have 360-degree vision, and there's various moments, and a lot of times you're being cheered on. He's right about that. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but what I will say is part of the Newton series that I did, there was this one example of a soul spirit that had spent 5,000, I think it was 5,000 lifetimes, or 5,000 years, or 5,000 lifetimes, just working on empathy. Just working on empathy. Let that sink in. Let that one brew for a little while. Just imagine, see, this is how they set it up. They have these little quadrants of things that we work on, blah, 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 blah. And that's how they hook you in. Again, it's a battle you cannot win. And there's always an excuse. There's always some normalization of something, and judgment and karmic debt and blah, 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 blah. And it keeps going. I mean, they could play this game all day long.
I feel complete with that lesson. I want to go on to something else now.
We will experience not only our own life review, but we will experience the way that we have made everyone feel. We have to experience their emotions through our eyes. If I've done something good to you, I get to experience that in spirit. If I've hurt you, I get to experience not only how that's affected you, but how it's affected the down trickle of that, like how it's affected the way that you might treat your partner, your friends, that I've maybe created fear in your life. I have to experience that, and that can be very uncomfortable. So I will usually come back in and agree to have that experience done to me.
What's really funny too is some of the good moments are just things that when people go through the life review of near-death experiences, they'll often say it's like some moment that they didn't even consider or remember as being like this big thing. But to the Matrix life review process, it was a huge thing. I mean, it could have been as simple as you as a kid handing a crayon to another random kid somewhere that maybe didn't go to your school, or something really, really weird. It's a lot of times they're interesting moments. They're nice, but the point is it's of all the moments in life, they pick like these most obscure, weird ones.
It's really difficult for people to wrap their head around it, and I think there's timing.
It took this time for there to be enough receptive spiritual people to be open to hearing this message. And in 83, I was reading in 83, I was talking to people, and I didn't have anybody that I could talk to a pre-birth plan about. Nobody could even, is my loved one okay?
gosh,
That's
all right.
as far
Yeah,
as they could get.
that
That's
makes
as far
sense.
as they could expand.
I'm glad you said that.
They couldn't do anything else. So it's no wonder that at 83 you stopped. It wasn't a time.
Okay, my friends, that wraps up the video segment. So if you're watching the replay, or if you're in the live stream right now and you just want to bail, that's the end of that segment. But now I'm just going to head on over to the chat. We'll have a brief talk together. Night Sky was gracious enough to send me some of your questions and comments, and then I'll fly through some of it as well. Some of the more recent stuff. So let me just hop in here. Now it says, cheers for the earlier time slot. As in the UK, this is the first live I've caught. Yeah, cheers. Much welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it. Yeah, I had a few comments from people saying if I could do the earlier ones. And I was doing that for a while, but lately I've been only having time at night, so try to sneak them in more. Okay, PKOSB. Oh, wow. Who is a Last Timers Club member. Very appreciative. Thank you. PK says, this is my favorite channel because we're actually getting truth. Thank you. Thank you. That's a really nice thing to say. It's your favorite channel. That very, very humble. Thank you. SN says, laugh out loud FC. I love your ironic comments. Thank you. Glenn, hey dude, I'm new to your channel and I am enjoying the videos. Cheers to you forever. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers to you as well. Welcome aboard. 51 Project says, I'm in the UK 15 years ago. The BBC had a science show and I found between 40 to 50 man-made chemicals in the bodies of an average family. Flame retardant from furniture was a big one. There is your cancer. Yes, that is a big one. I think that was investigated here too. It's been a long, long time since I looked into that, but I have an idea what you're talking about. The stuff that they put in furniture, even couches, beds, chairs, cushions, blankets, all this, all these clothes today. Like, I was just talking with someone the other day about how, you're finding less and less cotton products, like for shirts or socks, underwear, etc. And more along the lines of this, synthetic garbage with lots of stuff that, you're wearing every day. You may be running and sweating and absorbing it in the skin. And who the hell knows what's going on when we're wearing that type of stuff? Because, try to stick with cotton. That's the best thing I could suggest. Or do your homework on exactly what substances are in your clothing, just to be on the safe side. Can't hurt. Not telling you to freak out or anything, but just be aware. Okay. Sugar C says, so glad to have discovered this channel. Thanks to Green Wizard. Thank you. I'm glad you made it, and thank you to Green Wizard for suggesting the channel. It's very kind of him. Alan Stevens says, FC, thanks for all your hard work. It's appreciated. So glad to be amongst like-minded people at last. Yes. You're very welcome. And I agree. I mean, going through this type of stuff, it's difficult, but it's necessary. And my biggest mission is obviously to inform as many people as possible and kind of show the array of different topics that are required to research in order to prove it to yourself. I mean, especially for those who may still be on the fence or new to the topic, it could easily be proved. Easily. It just takes time. That's all. It's a lot of time. And speaking of time, I know my videos are long, but they're long, but they don't lack information. They don't lack, suggestions on where to find, what topics to look into, what red flags to be listening to, books to be reading, things like that. So there's a reason they're long, because it is an in-depth topic. So, but thank you for your kind comment, Alan. I'm glad you are finding the channel helpful. Okay, PKOSB says, is it even possible to have a positive spirit guide? Trust anything outside myself is questionable. Well, let me just put it this way. There are good spirits, okay? Just like there's good people here. Okay, we've got good, we've got bad. Okay? Here's the thing with guides, okay? I would say that if you are going to go down the road of having a guide, be careful. I'm not saying don't do it, but if you start getting red flags, I mean, you be upfront with your guy. Look, I'm a sovereign being. I am not going to be sticking around here, and I want to regain my true spirit essence. You put that right out front in the open. That's the law, okay? Then, whatever. But, the problem is these things cloak themselves too, wolf in sheep's clothing type of deal. So, could go either way. The last thing is, this is a big one, is that the spirit guides, in my opinion, are mostly within the matrix. So if they're within the matrix, it doesn't mean that they're bad, it just means that they've got the veil. They're working in a limited capacity. Now, could you be getting guidance from a spirit outside of the matrix? Sure, I would imagine you could. But how the hell do we decipher the difference? If you can decipher the difference somehow, then I tip my hat. If you're able to apply all those things and go with it in that direction, then cool. And again, I think as long as you're not gonna be hanging out with spirit guides and connecting with them, and then all of a sudden change your mind and fall into the trap that the matrix is good and everything's love and light, blah blah, then whatever. If you're getting something out of it, personally, I'm not doing that, but I understand how some people could need that, and maybe it helps. And I would love to hear, actually, in the chat or in the comment sections for those watching the replay, if you do have a spirit guide, have you talked to your spirit guide about, the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap? Ask them about it. What do they say? Ask them how they feel about sovereignty and wanting to break free. Ask them about, hey, spirit guide, open up my true, how do I, well, see, the problem is you're asking there. You're kind of consenting. I was going to say you can ask to be reconnected with your true spirit essence, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be what you're going to get. Obviously, we still have the human body, so no, just scratch that. Don't even go there. But I would bring up the sovereignty thing. I would ask them specifically about the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap. Reincarnation past lives. Heck, you can even talk about, the near-death experiences, breakthrough trips. I mean, they say, hey, I see all this, I see that, blah, blah. Hey, how do you feel about that? Might be an interesting angle to go at. So if anyone out there has had such an opportunity, please leave a comment. AA, thank you so kindly for your 99-cent super chat. Very kind of you. You're always very, very kind and generous. Thank you so much. And just to let you guys know that we do have the Last Timers Club channel membership. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to check it out. Okay. And, okay, where did I leave off here? So yeah, PK, I hope that maybe helped. I would just, just be careful, that's all. Doesn't mean they're necessarily all bad, but I think, sadly, a lot of them are still stuck within the system. Why is this tilted? Oh, that's right, I got the cushion on. Okay. All right. Igor, Mr. Solomon, how you doing, buddy? FC, now is the perfect moment to mention the therapist thing I mentioned in my email. Oh, yes. Oh, boy. Ah, too bad I missed it during there. Oh, dude, so Solomon sent me an email the other day. And I blown away. So he was talking about how in this book, this Gnostic book, he says, okay, I guess the book is called Humanity is the Devil by Jordan Krall. And in part 1, chapter 94, Hypostasis of the Archons, I notice emphatically that the word therapist is made up by the word rapist, as of the therapist is... Actually, I shouldn't even... Yeah. Okay, so the, rapist. Therapist. That's the etymology. That'll get you thinking, man. I gotta be careful when I say that. But you get it. I mean, again, therapy does help people. Okay? It helps. It does. If you find a good one, it can help. But I find it interesting how that breaks down like that. When he emailed me that, I was blown away. So, thank you, Solomon, for that. Much appreciated. Okay. Okay, Simulacra, Mr. Simon. Meanwhile, in the astral, cuts to shot of Archons frantically getting off. Okay. Okay, Simulacra says, is there any point these three have bodies? They sure act like somebody has a hand up their butts. I don't know, Simon. They really throw us for a loop in this one, buddy. It's just over the top in every which way possible. But aren't they all over the top? I mean, Newton's books, over the top, insane. I love how Newton had a friend, and saying, hey, what's up with this? What's up with this control, this hierarchy? I was just like, Michael Newton should have been hanging out with that guy. But, Michael Newton also had guides. And he was so entrenched in the whole thing that there was no turning back for him. And then I love how he also had, during his lecture, one of those lectures that he talked about, a person, like he had said something about the hierarchy and the masters and the control over others. And Newton said that one of the people in the audience went, aha! There it is. And then, he started spieling about how, it was all a con job and how, he said he knew it or something, or she said she knew it. He's like, aha, I knew it, So that was a really, really interesting thing to say. Jimmy, good to see you. Jimmy Spirit. Keep it up, FC. On point as always, brother. Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly, my friend. Always good to see you. PKOSB says, so during torture, you should be seeing the positive in it. These people are sick. Yes. Yep. And Pearson. POW. Great to see you, sister. Hope you're doing well today. Stockholm Syndrome is an emotional response. It happens to some abuse and hostage victims when they have positive feelings towards an abuser or captor. Yep. Yep. It's crazy land. Crazy land. Okay, let's see. Len Bayard? Bayard, maybe? Len Bayard? I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, Len. Len says, it's easy to feel like you're the only one thinking these things. Everyone around seems on autopilot. Yep. That's the problem. I mean, I just think there's so few of us out there who really know what the hell is going on and truly question things. I mean, and the whole way truth and spirituality is just so littered and layered with, layer upon layer of bullshit. I mean, it's very difficult for people to get out of it. It's sad. It's really sad. It's like you look at it and you almost feel like, how do people even stand a chance these days? But then I look at someone like Sasha. I think he's 17 now or almost 18. And he's young. He figured it out. I've also had comments from a few 18-year-olds, a couple 20-year-olds. So there are young people these days who are figuring this stuff out. If truth and desire to, find truth and spiritually connect is part of your daily life, your desire, it's constantly being output, I think it has to eventually reach you. But there also comes a point where you run into these roadblocks where you may feel like you have the answers you need. You may run into a video like we just saw and say, oh my God, that makes sense. And stop looking. Or continue, or, you go out and buy all his books. Remember, he's got a lot of books, so he's going to keep you busy for a few years if you buy his books. Or you may go and blow money on like a reading from them, or a past life regression from one of them, or go to these, contact in the desert, all that stuff. You get sucked in, and it's, an echo chamber all around. And it's confirmation. It's confirming constantly. So, yeah. Ugh. I mean, it's a tough one out there. My heart goes out to people. Like, I think a good chunk of us were here during the wild, wild west days of the internet. And that's kind of how we opened the door a little easier. Now it's, the internet of the old is not the internet of today, so. But that doesn't mean there's not information out there. Remember, use archive.org. That's like, I live on that damn site. Archive is one of the best sites. Probably my go-to site on the net. Next to, near-death experience sites and things like that. And let's see. Simulacra says, yes, exactly. It's the Simulacra says, Simon, and I should just keep calling him Simon, but I'm saying Simulacra for the chat for those who don't know him. So Simon says, it's the vulnerability in people that they target, which is reprehensible. Yep, that is, those are the types of things that get me boiling. Taking advantage of spiritually vulnerable people. How how that can just keep happening is just, it's atrocious. It's horrible. Just think about the level of emptiness one has to have inside of them to do something like these people are doing. I mean, okay, let's just leave it at that. The whole crew is just out of their minds, okay? But to go that far is just, it's sick. But you know, it's been going on long before New Age came. I mean, this has been going on forever. This, you know, spiritually vulnerable people are probably been around since the creation of this realm. So it's one of the safety mechanisms to keep people in line. Okay, let's see. 51 Project says most child abusers were once abused children. It's a known psychological cycle of trauma and repetition. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and I think Simon and I were talking about this when he came on for his My Path to Awakening new series. If you haven't checked that out, we had a great time and went into a lot of different topics. Feel free to check that out sometime. It was 2 videos ago. But anyways, what we were talking about is pretty sure we're about the cycle of abuse, just this. And then I was bringing up how so you don't only have things like the life script and all that, but you also have this thing called cellular memory. Okay? So, and I'll be doing a video on that soon. I've mentioned this before. How, like organ donors, for instance, they will, you know, say you die in a car accident and you're a donor. Excuse me, and you give, you know, a lung or a heart or whatever over to somebody. Okay? They start to pick up traits that you had. So say you like beer and pizza, you know, then all of a sudden you like beer and pizza. Say you like hot peppers, but you didn't like hot peppers before. All of a sudden you may like hot peppers because the person's, you know, heart you got or lung you got or whatever has that cellular memory inside of it. So since that's happening, then obviously when our parents can, you know, the egg and the sperm have that cellular memory, and then the child is created and has a piece of that. So there's a predisposition right there too. I mean, it's really crazy stuff. So you could have it, you know, you could have the matrix could have it all teed up so that not only is it in your life script, but it's through your DNA. It's in your actual structure because of the intergenerational trauma. It's really crazy stuff. Really, really crazy stuff. Okay, so PKOSB says, I don't seek spirit guides. I was wondering just in case. Thank you, FC, for answering my question. You're very welcome. Always happy to answer questions. Okay, so I'm just going to head into the live chat now. I got through all of, let's see, how long are we? Oh, well, we're over 2 hours. Okay, I'll stick around for probably no more than 15 minutes. Then I got to run. I want to try and keep these shorter if I can. Okay. PKOSB says, I was banned from Twitter twice. Okay, let's see. Yep. Simon says, generational trauma is a thing for sure when you consider how dysfunctional and full of trauma most families are. If this is all a choice, I'm suggesting that choice isn't ours. It's heavily pushed. Very little. I mean, that's. Well, see, they could tee it up. So even if it's not in your life script, that's a, you know, even sicker, because it may not be in your life script, but due to the generational trauma, it just carries down naturally anyways. Sick. Really sick to think about. Okay. What we got here? Ann says, I need to run errands before dark, but don't want to leave yet. Go do your errands, Ann. It's always great to see you. You can always come back and hit the replay. Fast forward. Okay. Len says, I appreciate it if people say they are seeking truth rather than acting like some guru with it all figured out. Yeah, I mean, it's too many know-it-alls out there. I will always say when I know something or I think, and then I'll go to things that I think I know, and then I'll say things that I'm on the fence about or just flat out don't know. That's how we learn. Being honest with ourselves, not, driving this ego guru complex, which is just pervasive against society. Okay. Not going to touch on that one. Okay. Silicone cups. Zelly says the guy was bored. What natural solution are there? Silicone cups or fabric pads that leak? And Scott says, yeah, pesticides and cotton. Yeah, you gotta. That's the other thing is you gotta try and find a company that doesn't have them. And they have them. They're out there. I bought some in the past. They're not going to be at your chain stores. You're going to have to order them online, so. But I know Amazon has them. I bought them off eBay before, too. Let's see here. Ann says to Scott, when in college, I remember a fellow dorm roommate who came home all the time smelling like formaldehyde. She was a vet student. It's a nasty smell I will never forget. Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I had a friend who worked at a vet too, and that formaldehyde, dude. Ugh. She would smell like that once in a while too. That's why I brought it up. I was like, oh. Let's see. Yeah. Vince says, guides, even the word guide is a red flag to me. Yeah. Yep. Okay. God Was Bored says, inviting any entity is akin to inviting any stranger into your home. They're not all good just because they're otherworldly, just like all people aren't good here. Yep. Oh boy. I'm having an issue here with... Hopefully the quality is okay. One of you can just jump in the chat and let me know if you want after you hear this. That would be great because I'm getting a warning on YouTube Studio here. Okay. AA says, appreciate all your research. Thank you so much. And thank you again for the super chat. That was very kind of you. SN says, still waiting for your PayPal account. See, okay. All right. Yes, I got to set that up. Thank you. Other people have asked me to. I'm sorry. But I really appreciate you reminding me of that again. I do have to get on top of that because I need to upgrade my computer equipment desperately. So I could use help. It's this thing is just overheating like crazy. I've got fans all over it and it's on its way out, but hopefully I could squeak out a little bit longer. Okay. Well, it seems to be going okay, good. Okay, so Len says, I think spirits might be just like people in a way, but they exist in other realms, possibly more advanced, some maybe less. Yeah, I mean, it would go kind of without saying that if you come into if we each come into existence during different periods, then there is some kind of learning process that would come along with that, or evolutionary process that comes along with that. But if we are all connected and have, this all-knowing that's outside of this matrix, then perhaps none of that really matters. But I'm not banking on anything at all. Let's put it that way. I'm just banking on myself and guiding my own path out through my own sovereign intention and desire to regain my true spirit essence in 100%, not 99%, 100%. And I kind of want to, go out like Scarface, I wish I could do that, but it's not going to get that satisfaction. Because I talked to some people in the past who, and you know what? I don't even blame. I'm sorry, I got to turn on the light here, guys. It's getting a little dark. There we go. Okay, maybe that's a little better. Okay. So I had some people that I talked to, and honestly, I felt this way too. About how when you go through this and you think about like all the crazy shit that goes on here and all the misdeeds and how you want to be able to try and shut this damn thing down if you could, right? And you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to go and try and disconnect this damn thing, when I get out of here, blah, blah, blah. And then you start to realize, well, what would the Matrix do, right? Because disconnecting it, so to say, or waging war on it, first off, it would be a big task. It would likely require many involved somehow. I don't think it's this big solo operation. First off, I think it would be nearly impossible to do anyways, because it's a created reality that is being propped up and kept together by many, many entities. Many. And so the one example I like to bring up often is like trip reports, like DMT reports, I like this one example of a person who was in a realm on one of their trips. And they specifically said that they wanted to see if they could change the realm. So I don't remember exactly what the scenario was, but it was something along these lines. So I'm just going to say, she saw a plant, okay, in the realm. And so she would set her intention on the plant to take it away. But then, boom, it would just kind of come back into place eventually. So it would disappear, but it's almost like as if there was this replacement mechanism. And who's doing that? That's some mechanism in play that, it's a safeguard mechanism, because that was not her reality, that she was in someone else's reality. And so yeah, she could use her intention and create her abilities that she has to remove it, but then the other mechanism who runs the place, or possibly is just keeping an eye on things at all times, says, oh, okay, whoa, we're missing this plant. And it goes back. But she is in their reality. That's why we have to just basically seriously create our own reality when we get out of here. That's the safest option. Create your own reality. Enjoy yourself. Kind of chill for a while. Figure out what you're going to do and take it from there. Beyond that, I really don't know what else to say, because I think anything outside of that is, it's just impossible for anyone to say. If I had some way of knowing that or whatever, well, first off, I wouldn't be here. So none of us would be here and be able to share something like that. So it's just impossible to find that answer while we're still here. But we are creator beings. We know that for certain, guys. So let's not forget that. That's like the most important part. And yeah, obviously the other important part is, free will. We have the ability to consent, not consent. And we're creator beings. I mean, that's some pretty heavy-duty artillery we got at our beck and call. So let's take advantage of it when we get out of here. Let's enjoy ourselves. Have fun. But fighting the Matrix as if we're going to tear it all down, when we get out of here. No. Because the Matrix will provide that. The Matrix will gladly provide that illusion for us. That's what I started thinking. I was like, not going down that road. No, thank you. Okay. Oh, Miss Ellie says that, Miss Ellie says, oh my God, he's that young. Yeah, Sasha is either 17 or 18. Yep. And Miss Ellie says, I chatted with a 24-year-old who has figured it out too. That's awesome. I love seeing that. That's great that there's all these young people figuring it out. I love it. Yeah, Sasha blew me away. It's so great. I'm so happy for him. And anyone that figured this thing out. Okay. Why did it do that? Simon says, I want to jump into a volcano at my endpoint. No funeral, no fuss, no organs swiped or argons scavenging my spirit. That would solve it. One swift exit. Leave the body. Take the spirit. Leave it in a volcano. That's a really badass way to go. Vince says, why would you even put another's organ into yourself except for a sexual purpose anyway? Okay. All right. Take 1, 2 more. Oh, what are we at? Oh yeah, 228. Perfect. So we're right up there, right around there. Thank you, Night Sky, for your help tonight. Very much appreciated. That was very kind of you. And I'll talk to you soon, sister. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. SN says the key is that they are low frequency entities. Therefore, if we vibrate higher than them, we escape. We'll be invincible to them. Marzinski has stated this. We are unseen if thinking positive thoughts. and yeah, just asserting yourself, because they do take the form. They do, they take the form of good and bad. So, I think it's really, really important to have your resolve, your intention, at a fever pitch, to protect yourself. So yeah, the frequency definitely helps, but also just important to also realize that we're still within this realm, but we do hold a lot of power, and you could get entities out fairly quickly, as long as it's your true intention and you really put that out there, I guess is the best way to say it. Anne says, we should be superheroes, able to grow teeth and limbs, rejuvenate our bodies, and heal ourselves in general, and able to communicate telepathically and manifest food without killing or harming. Yep. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Addie says, these are game wardens for sure. Yep. But I mean, isn't kind of everybody? That's the problem. It's if it's not them, it's somebody else. It's they're all over the place. It's crazy. Dr. Sean Hyman, good to see you. How you doing, brother? This committee is owed an apology, Senator. Yeah, still waiting on that apology from her, Heyman. I don't think I'm gonna get it. Yeah, I love putting that Godfather phrase in there, but okay. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap it up, my friends. It's been fun, been real. I'll probably see you this weekend, maybe Friday night or Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure which day yet, but I'll keep an eye out on the notifications there, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Oh, let me finish one thing here. I forgot to mention, trying to find me elsewhere. I have Instagram, Twitch, Twitter. I have them, but I really don't use them. They're just kind of there as an alternative in case something should happen to the channel, and I'll post something there. I also have ODYSEE, where I do exclusive live streams on that platform every once in a while, and I do have one that'll probably come up in the next week or two that's going to be kind of talking about the future. So if you haven't signed up for an ODYSEE account and you would like to participate in the live chat, feel free to click the invite link in the description tab. By using that, it helps promote the channel over on ODYSEE, and also gives you some free crypto, library crypto specifically, and doesn't cost anything. So it helps out the channel, it gives you a little something, everybody wins. And you do need to confirm your email with them when you create the account, so in order to, I think, use the live chat, because you do need to authorize it or something, at least last I checked. Okay. YouTube has, I have 2 YouTube backup channels as well. If you're new to the channel, I would suggest, or anyone here, sign up for the backup channels and hit the bell, light up the whole thing if you want notifications, because people saying they don't get notifications, and the only thing I can really suggest, guys, is to make sure that the bell is lit up completely. Other than that, you're only going to get them occasionally, if ever. I don't know how that all works. So that's the only thing I know. And like I did today, I did that short video. I don't know, what was it, 20 minutes, 30 minutes before I went live today. And I'll try to do those when I can, just to, because sometimes people don't receive the community tab notifications. Oh, the other thing with the community tab, guys, I noticed personally, by using, if as a channel I like, I try not to hit the like button on the community tab too much, because it tends to, for multiple channels. But if there's a channel I really like, I hit up all the time, so I make sure that I'm getting that community tab in my feed. Otherwise, it just, if you're not checking it manually, you're never going to see it, basically. But it's something there. So if you happen to be on YouTube during the day and see it, feel free to hit it, so you might get those more. If you want to see those notifications more, just a way. That's the only thing I think. And also, lastly, if you enjoyed this stream today, found it valuable, please consider hitting the like button. It would be much appreciated, so we can get this into more people's feeds, and perhaps the algorithm may be friendly. At least that's what I'm told. I don't know if it's true. Would be nice. And that's going to wrap it up, my friends. And I will see you all again very soon. Have yourself a good rest of your week. Much love. Hashtag last timers. We're done. This is it. Just gotta finish it out right. Finish it out right. Take your time. Let it all take care of itself. Keep preparing for yourself. Maybe work on some astral projection if you want, some lucid dreaming, meditation, taking those walks, all those things. Get out in nature if you can. It's really important. It helps. Get some sun. Eat organic, non-GMO. Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing. This is like, what, the fourth time I said goodbye? One last thing is, I don't want to scare anyone, but I think there may be some shortages around the corner. So if you're not really, don't have a little, just buy a little extra food for yourself if you can. That's all I'm saying. Just to be on the safe side. I'm not telling you to freak out. Just some common sense preparations for yourself, just in case. All right. I'll see y'all soon. Much love.